Good morning, Naples. I'm DJ Darbalicious here with Chris Kasparek for From the Bench Sports Show. And also in the studio right now, we have Zane Zimmerman, a Naples high school football player. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Well, you had a little quick morning this morning, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
That's what happens when you don't set your alarm. You know that, right?
I did set my alarm, but iOS 7 messed it up for me. So thank you, Apple. Thank you.
Oh, it was the Apple's fault, right? And I'm sure that excuse would work with the bosses, wouldn't it?
Of course, our bosses don't like Apple either.
So we got Big Zane Zimmerman in here, the Naples high school football. I think it's safe to say standout athlete, star. If you won't say it, I'll say it. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. So you had a big homecoming weekend, and also we gotta say that during this homecoming win, it was a victory for Naples, beating Hohenfels 25-19. But also you had a busy halftime as well.
Yes, I did.
All right, because you had to, and we see this happen in the stateside as well. You were part of the homecoming court. You were the junior prince for the junior class, and so congratulations on that. But more importantly, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
So big victory. You beat Hohenfels and their big athlete, also David Vidovic, who had a big game. But talk a little bit about the game and the victory for the Wildcats.
Well, it was a pretty good, exciting game. Scary at some points, but we finally came together as a team and started working together and doing things the way they should be done. And stopping Vidovic, he's not that big of a guy, but he knows football and he can run the ball pretty good.
All right. Had you ever been a part of a football game where you had back-to-back kickoff returns for touchdowns?
No.
No?
That was crazy.
And for you guys that are listening at home this morning, if you didn't know, out at the game this weekend, Naples had kicked off to Hohenfels, and Vidovic ran it back, and then they turned around, kicked it to us, and we ran it back for the touchdown. It was a back-and-forth game that actually went down to the last 10 seconds of the game, and nobody in the stands was surprised when they handed it to Vidovic. And with 5 seconds left, there was one play left in the game, and you kind of had the big stop.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I was like, got to stop this guy because if he gets away, he's going to be gone.
And then before that, sometime before that, I believe, there was an onside kick. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, we knew that there was going to be an onside kick because they were lining up for it. So I was pretty nervous about that. So I was getting ready to get it, and then bounced off me, and I was like, crap, got to get that.
and we're hoping that you said it but didn't actually do it. Correct? Because we were up in the booth, and as we were saying, it was onside kick, and it bounced right off of Zane's chest. But he was smart enough and quick enough to run out and grab that. And is that a play that you guys, a setup that you guys practice regularly during the week?
No, not really. Well, we talk about it, but we never really practice it.
Okay. Because you being a defensive lineman, offensive lineman, sometimes you don't see you guys on the hands team, and that's basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. So not only are you the big football athlete, but you're also a swimmer on the Tiger Sharks.
Yes, sir.
And you swim the 50 free, 100 free, the 100 back, and then the relay. How did you guys this weekend go? And you go to play football Saturday, and then right away you turn around yesterday and you have a meet. How'd that go?
It was good. We also had the homecoming dance at night, so until 12 o'clock at night.
Well, that's the important thing. How could I forget that? The homecoming dance, of course.
Yeah. It was a long weekend. But swim meet was fun and good. We won.
Okay. What is now you've been playing, this is your second or third season for the Wildcats?
It's my third.
Your third. Okay, so your third season. What's your favorite memory so far of your three seasons playing for the Wildcats?
It would be my freshman year, Ansbach, when we beat them 42-40, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an exciting game.
And speaking of Ansbach, you're going up there this weekend, and you're going to be playing a pretty good Ansbach team who's undefeated. And so we wish you the best of luck with that. How long a ride is that bus ride?
It's about like 18 hours, I think, there.
Okay. So that's a little bit of iPod or iTunes or something, watching movies and playing music?
Sleeping on the bus.
Sleeping on the bus. All right. So one of the things that we do here on the show is we talk about with Darby, we're doing the Movies 101, the movie history, sports movies, because she hasn't watched a whole lot of them, and so we're trying to educate her. What is your favorite football movie of all time?
Yeah, I actually like The Waterboy.
The Waterboy.
Yeah, The Waterboy is a good movie.
Were you letting her influence you?
Well, no, I forgot about Waterboy. I think she said it earlier. So,
I'll give you that. Bobby Boucher, he's a great character on that. Is he your favorite character in movies then?
I don't remember who that is, but I know Adam Sandler's my favorite character.
Okay, so that was Bobby Boucher was the Adam Sandler character, and I'll say that your hit on David Vidovic at the end was kind of a Boucher-ish hit this past weekend. And we have a surprise for Darby this weekend. Last weekend she watched Rocky 1, and so we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. But next week we're going to pull a football movie out, and we're going to have her watch Rudy. Rudy, a good football movie? You think she'll enjoy that?
I've never actually seen that.
You've never seen Rudy?
No.
Oh my goodness.
See, I think it might be just like with us younger people. We haven't watched as many of these sports movies that came out a long time ago.
Well, we need to do this because, and you know what, we're going to give it order because, Big Zane Zimmerman is in the studio with us this morning, but also in the studio is, because on base you have to get rides and drive over, but his mother is in here with him, so we're going to give mom orders. He's got to watch Rudy sometime this season. All right, so now moving forward with the rest of the season, what challenges do you think, your football team has, and what's your outlook for the rest of the year?
I think we can actually do good things this season. We just got to keep doing what we did this weekend and work together as a team and do our thing and win and take care of this.
All right. And again, I can't believe I forgot, earlier as we were talking about the busy weekend. I mean, so you played I just want to make sure we got this right. You played the football game, then you go to the homecoming dance, then you have the swim meet, and then on top of that, you have homework as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you got all that done, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, we want to thank Big Zane Zimmerman for coming in for the From the Bench show this morning. We want to wish the Wildcats the best of luck for the rest of the season, and more importantly, stay safe this season and continue to knock those guys in the teeth.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and coming up next, I have Use Somebody by Kings of Leon. We are back here in the studio with From the Bench, our sports show, and right now we are talking Major League Baseball.
Yes, we are, and we want to kind of recap because now, as we said last week, by today we would know we should have known what was going to be happening for the playoffs, and we do, but also we don't, because there's one more game that has to take place, and that's going to take place today or on Monday. Back in the States, we'll wait for them to wake up, and that is going to be the Tampa Rays are going to be playing the Texas Rangers to determine who is going to be the last wild card team. So they are fighting to see who's going to play the Red Sox. So you're going to have the Red Sox playing them, the winner of the Rays and the Rangers. You have the Braves versus the Dodgers. And then the Reds and Pirates, as we said, they're going to be the two wild card teams for the National League. They're playing each other to see who gets to play the Cardinals. I don't know if that's quite a victory. You beat the one or the other, and you get to play the Cardinals. And we're pretty excited about that. But I want to quickly jump back. Again, thanks Zane Zimmerman for coming in to interview this morning, but rehash the homecoming weekend. We didn't just have the Naples Wildcat football team in action. We also had volleyball teams, the boys and girls, who both beat MMI. You had boys cross country who beat MMI, and tennis beat MMI. So there was a lot of beating of MMI this past weekend, and so congratulations to all of those athletes, and congratulations on a very safe weekend for homecoming.
I'm not very close to Naples High School. I don't really know anybody, but who is MMI?
MMI is one of the teams out of Rome, and I can't right now think of the name of the school off the top of my head. I should. We play them. I mean, they come down every weekend, but it is from Rome. It's an international school that takes on our folks. And then Naples, the football team, as we said, they played Hohenfels. And as we expand the show, we talked about interviewing other athletes, and we did touch base with the star running back for the Hohenfels Tigers this past weekend, that David Vidovic, who, if you were at the game or you listened on the radio, you heard his name 100 million times. And so congratulations to that young man who had one heck of an effort this past weekend. But again, for Major League Baseball now, it's big time. Now we're moving towards the World Series. We're almost there. And again, reminder, Red Sox are going to be playing the winner of the Tampa Rays and the Texas Rangers, and the Braves will be playing the Dodgers. The Cardinals will be playing the Reds Pirates winner. And more importantly, this past weekend, it was kind of a sad day too. The greatest reliever of all time, Mariano Rivera, is done. He retired. But you never say never. You've seen a lot of these athletes come in and retire, and then you know what, I'm not really liking. I said I wanted to spend more time with my family. I said I wanted to go do these other things, to go mow the lawn, and the next thing you know, they're playing. I would not be surprised if next spring Mariano Rivera is playing. So
it reminds me of Oscar De La Hoya a lot. He retired and he came back, and it's just like, you need to leave. You said bye.
Yeah,
so.
him and Roy Jones a little bit. If you're for the boxing side, and De La Hoya right now, he Before it was before it was getting in and out of the ring. Now it's getting in and out of rehab. So we always wish you wish all those athletes the best with those kind of things. But you're really kind of hoping that he gets everything taken care of. But yeah, we don't need to be seeing him in the ring anytime soon. And as we move forward, we're going to talk about the NFL coming up and some college football. And we possibly might have a special guest calling in for the first time on From the Bench. And as we lead into further down the road, we hope to have more phone calls because we want to get the community involved in From the Bench so that you can talk sports.
Yes, and we actually do and would love a lot of community participation because we want to know what your guys' thoughts are on a lot of things, because my thoughts and Chris's thoughts might be a lot more different than what you guys are thinking. So...
A lot more. Definitely a lot more. So we'll coming up in the show, we're going to talk a lot NFL because it's a huge NFL weekend. We're going to talk college football. We're going to talk fantasy football because, Darby, we got good news, but we want to keep everybody in suspense. Don't blow it for everybody. And then we're going to talk a little America's Cup, a little bit of NASCAR for your NASCAR fans out there. And we're going to talk about the world record was broken for the marathon.
Yes, so stick around because there's a lot more sports information and news coming your way. So right now I have Royals by Lord. All right, we are back on From the Bench.
Yes, we are.
We're here to talk NFL.
NFL, hoorah, hoorah. Hey, you know what I realized is when we talked about earlier that you came in rough morning, I think people might have misinterpreted that as you were late. You were not late. The show kicked off this morning, but you just had kind of that late wake up.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you clarified that. I mean,
I just want to clarify.
Senior Chief walked in and was like, you were late.
Well, Senior Chief walked in, and I kind of was like, whoa, my jokes can be funny sometimes, sometimes, not all the time. But I was like, oh, yeah, because Darby's, bosses hopefully listen to the show, and I probably shouldn't joke about her being late. So I take that back. So Darby was not late. So if you're listening up in Vicenza, she was not late. She started the show on time.
Yes.
Good. So NFL winners this week. We're going to fly through the NFL because we have a lot of things to talk about still yet today. The Bills won. The Browns beat the Bengals. Browns, I have no idea what is going on with you. You could not win. They cleaned out your team. They're starting to dock trades. They trade Trent Richardson to the oh my goodness, the Indianapolis Colts. I almost forgot. You had the Chiefs who beat the Giants. The Vikings beat the Steelers. The Cardinals beat the Bucks. The Colts beat the Jaguars. Thank goodness, the Jaguars being one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Titans beat the Jets. The Broncos beat the Eagles. And the Redskins beat the Raiders, which was kind of a surprise to me. I actually picked against them this weekend. And then the Chargers beat the Cowboys. So after this week, we do still have one game left tonight in the Miami Dolphins versus the New Orleans Saints, which is a big game for both because they're both undefeated. But after tonight, I still think that the following teams are going to be undefeated. The Seahawks, the Saints, or the Dolphins could be, but I think the Saints are going to beat the Dolphins. Denver is still undefeated. Kansas City is undefeated. And the Patriots are undefeated after beating Atlanta last night in Atlanta. I don't know if the Patriots are that good, if Atlanta just is that bad, but we'll have to see. But still, 4 teams, no wins: Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, and the Giants, which is a surprise because 2 of those, being Pittsburgh and the New York Giants, are teams that you would not regularly see without any wins 4 weeks into the season, and so that's a little bit scary for them. But leading into next week, then talking about the undefeated teams and what they're going to be carrying over and what games they have. The Patriots are going to be playing the Bengals. They're playing in Cincinnati. The New Orleans Saints are going to be playing the Bears in Chicago. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be playing in Tennessee. The Seahawks are going to be playing in Indianapolis, and Denver has to go to Dallas. So all 5 undefeated teams all have big games away from home. And so we'll have to see how that takes place, because Cincinnati is one of those teams that, honestly, if you've watched the NFL season this year, nothing seems to make sense. You see Seattle play Texas yesterday. Seattle gets down 20-3 right away off the start, but then Seattle comes back and beats the Texans in Houston. You have the Colts, who started off slow against the Jaguars. The Jaguars still not having it. The Chiefs now have to go into Tennessee, and Tennessee has been playing well. So right now, if I were to pick, I think the Bengals are going to upset the Pats in Cincinnati. I think the Bears are going to upset the Saints because the Bears looked awful awful yesterday against Detroit, and I don't know if it was Chicago looked so awful or Detroit looked that good. I've got a couple of friends out there, Chad Lucy and Michael Bushy, respectively, listening today to the show, possibly, or later on the podcast, who are huge Detroit fans. So they're probably going to argue that Detroit looked that good. The Seahawks, they look good. They're still my Super Bowl pick as of right now. Denver looked great. Denver's going to go into Dallas. I think they're going to trump Dallas and beat the Cowboys.
Is it true that the Seahawks have never been to a Super Bowl?
That is not true. The Seahawks actually have been to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That is you just brought up probably a sad moment for a lot of Seahawks fans out there. One of the best Super Bowls in score, not one of the best Super Bowls in officiating ever, was when the Seattle Seahawks played the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the game actually took place in Detroit. And it was some, if I remember right, it was some bad weather. Detroit fans, if they're out there, we invite them to call in next week and let's talk about it. But you're not going to get the Seattle fans to call in because Seattle is a little bit bitter about a couple of calls in that game where Big Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers beat them. For those teams that haven't won yet, the Giants and the Jaguars, the other teams are actually on their bye weeks because the bye weeks start next week, is Philadelphia is going to go to New York Giants. I think New York Giants are going to finally get off the snide and beat them, so they'll go to 1-4, great record. The Jags are going to go into St. Louis, and even though St. Louis is bad, Jacksonville is that much worse. We're just waiting for them to sign Tim Tebow any day now. Come on. Maybe Jacksonville listens to From the Bench, and if they do, sign Tim Tebow. You don't even have to play the guy. Just sign him. You're going to sell jerseys. You're going to sell seats. You're going to get a little bit of money. I mean, you're not selling seats now.
Wasn't Tebow originally from Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the big Florida guy. He went to the University of Florida. He's one of the greatest college football players of all time. Now, he hasn't done well in the pros, but he's a Florida guy. They love him down there. They're going to sell out every game just to see him play. I mean, make him the punter, dude. Maybe the kicker. I don't know, but people would pay to see Tim Tebow. Now we're going to jump into college football. Guess what? I posted this on your Facebook page last night. Yes,
and I'm actually very happy about this. Kiffin was fired, and it's not even worth mentioning his first name because we didn't want him anyway.
It wasn't worth mentioning. No. It wasn't worth mentioning, or did you forget it?
I don't care for it.
Well, Lane Kiffin was fired after the game this weekend where they were smoked by Arizona State Sun Devils and
Sun
Devils,
okay.
Devils, one of those, and they were smoked. I mean, Arizona State put up, I believe, 62 points, and Lane Kiffin landed. Now there's mixed stories. There's the stories that he found out on the plane coming back from Arizona, and there's also there's word out there that he got off the plane and was told, hey, you're fired.
Okay, see, the two stories I read was they were off the plane, they were getting on the bus, the team was on the bus, he was ready to go back to USC with them, and the athletic director pulled him off, was like, hey, I need to talk to you for a bit. You're fired, bro. Yeah,
that's probably how good. And, it's just funny to think about that. You just get off the plane, you're feeling pretty good, you're making millions.
No,
hey, gotta talk to you.
You're feeling pretty bad. You just lost.
Well, you hope. But, I mean, he's still making millions of dollars. I hope he felt. Well, he felt even worse after the game. I'll tell you that. Now that he's fired, and he's gonna jump back up on his feet though. That's the sad thing.
See, the thing is, he probably didn't feel bad. He probably expected it because it's happened 2-3 times before.
It has. Ooh,
so he's used to it.
We need to get a symbol in here. We need to get a symbol in there now. Darby's cracking jokes this morning.
He didn't feel bad. He saw it coming.
No, he has been. He quit on Tennessee. He was fired from the Raiders. He was at USC. I mean, the biggest mistake I think he ever made was when he went to a head. Well, no, he was a good coordinator. He just hasn't been a good head coach, and so it'll be interesting to see what they do, and if USC can become relevant again. We talked about USC isn't relevant. This is a relevant story because USC's story tradition and who they can bring in as a coach. But right now they have Ed Orgeron will be the interim coach. But I would stake a small bet that the possibility is Jack Del Rio, defensive coordinator in the NFL right now, will be the coach. They tried to get him last time, and he said no, it wasn't time and ready. So we'll see what happens there. Other college football news going on this last weekend, there was some big wins. We had Georgia beating LSU and Ohio State beating Wisconsin. We had talked about those games. I had unfortunately picked Wisconsin. We did pick Georgia. I think both of us did.
I picked LSU. I'll admit it. Yeah. So
you did. Well, that was nice
Yeah.
of you to step up and take that. That's good. This weekend we have some big games. Not a whole lot on upset alerts, but we have Florida State playing Maryland. Clemson at Syracuse. Clemson being number 3 in the country. Syracuse, never an easy place to play. You have Washington going to Stanford. Washington, I totally underestimated how good that they've been this year, and I overestimated how good Washington State was after they got killed by Stanford. And then the big game, College Game Day, as we talk about ESPN, where they're sending the buses, is going to be for the Ohio State game at Northwestern. And I believe this may be the first time the College Game Day has gone to Northwestern. So it's exciting for them. They're undefeated. Ohio State's undefeated. Anytime you have to travel on the road in college football, you never know what to expect. And as we jump then from college football, we want to quickly talk about fantasy football.
Yes.
Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen?
I'm winning.
The Los Angeles Purple Fins, right?
Yes.
The Los Angeles Purple Fins are winning 141 to 106. She's pretty much guaranteed to win. And we were talking about our fantasy football points, and one thing Darby did not realize, her tight end scored 26 points. And she asked, is that a lot? For a tight end, yes. For a quarterback, no. She has Peyton Manning. 26 is pretty easy. But for Tony Gonzalez to get 26 points, that's pretty big.
Hey, actually, I just switched him out last week, I believe.
Did you switch him out?
Yeah, last week. I didn't like the other guy. He gave me 0 for a while, so I was like, I'm over you. Bye. I switched him out. I didn't get anything for him. I think I got like 2.
2 points?
Yeah, last week, so I was like, maybe I made a mistake. But
so
no.
you're reassessing the fantasy.
Yeah.
You're looking who can get. Well, it's going to get you off the snide. You were 0-3. You're going to move to 1-3.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. I'm not doing so hot right now. I have 3 teams. I've got my Auburn Penitentiary. A little shout out to my friend Ron Neal out there, the big Auburn fan. But I'm leading 70 to 64. However, my opponent has Lamar Miller going to Monday Night Football. So as long as he gets 6 or less points, he's okay. But that comes back and bites me in the butt because in one of my other teams, I have Lamar Miller, and I need him to have big points because the other guy has Lance Moore. And then in my other league here, I'm leading 98 to 85. However, I'm actually playing – that's in our league, the From the Bench League. Mm-hmm. I'm actually playing Coach Dirk Lambertson, who was in here for our first show. I'm winning 98 to 85. However, he has Drew Brees going. And so, like you said, a couple weeks ago, I think it was last week's show, you said, if these weren't real players, I'd wish that they would get hurt.
Yeah, but they're real, so you can't say that.
But they are real.
Sounds awful.
We don't want them to. But if Drew Brees were to tweak his ankle, I'd be okay with that. Like if he tweaked it in the first quarter, they put ice. They gave him some medication. He's fine. So then he comes back in the fourth quarter, helps him kick a field goal. Maybe doesn't have him he doesn't throw any touchdowns. I would be okay with that. I would. So you're going to get off the snide. I'm right now in a chance that I could go 0-3 for the week, or I could go 3-0.
Which one do you want?
Oh, which one do you think? I think I want to be 3-0. So when we come back from the break, we got a little bit more information to go, but more importantly, it's movie one-on-one time.
Yes, and we are ready to talk Rocky from last week, and we're going to tell you what movie I'm going to watch next week. Coming up right now, I have Better Than I Know Myself by Adam Lambert. You just heard your Eagle News update with Seaman Nicole Vandergrain. I'm DJ Darbalicious here in the morning, but we are doing the From the Bench sports show with Chris Kasparek, and we are here to talk to you about America's Cup.
Yeah, America's Cup was a big boat race. That's the most that's probably my knowledge of it. But I saw a lot of the highlights, and as I'm sure many of you have. But where this was a big time it wasn't so much that it was a boat race. It wasn't so much that the Americans won. It was how they won. And it gets us talking about biggest comebacks of all time. But in the series, it's the first one to 9. So the first team to 9 wins. The America's team was down 8-1. And they came back and won on the final day to make it 9-8, and they took the America's Cup. And if you get a chance, go watch some of the highlights of this, because some of those boats that they're riding, I mean, we're talking they're in the air.
Yep, I actually watched some when I was up in Germany. I was watching the AFN Sports Show, and those highlights were...
It was nuts.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I
Mostly when it looks like one is, you know what it reminds me of? Star Wars.
They do kind of look like Star Wars a little bit.
The
Luke Skywalker's.
Yeah. What are they called?
The X-wing fighters.
Yes.
Got
Okay,
it.
so-
X-wing fighters. I am a nerd this morning. Thank
Yeah.
you. Once again, pop culture crossing over into our sports show. But speaking of non-Star Wars looking auto or vehicles, is automobiles. As I try to spit that out very quickly, but NASCAR very quickly. Jimmy Johnson won in Dover, and why that's important is the Cup Series is still going on, and right now the updated standings for the top 5 is Matt Kenseth is in first, Jimmy Johnson is in second, Kyle Busch is in third, Kevin Harvick is in fourth, and Jeff Gordon is in fifth, and they're almost about halfway done. They're not quite halfway done with the chase for the Cup. But speaking of fast, so we talked about fast boats, we talked about fast cars, also a song by Tracy Chapman. But we want to talk about fast. 2:03.
Yes.
2:03.
With 23 seconds.
With 23 seconds. 2:03:23.
Yes.
Why is that fast?
So, it's fast because that is the new world record for the marathon. It beat the old record by 15 seconds. And this record was broken in Berlin. And it seems to be a trend because the last world record was in Berlin too.
Well, it's a fast course. And now I say fast course. Now I've run 4 marathons. And that's 26.2 miles. My fastest marathon to this point, which I'm proud of, is 3:59:07. So I broke the 4-hour mark. These folks this guy ran 2:03. All right, 2:03. When I ran my fastest, I was just past halfway done, and he's finishing.
Oh God.
It equals about he's running 4:30s splits, so 4 minutes and 30 seconds per mile.
That's
and
crazy.
what I invite people to do is there's a great documentary, and maybe this will be one of your assignments one of the weeks to watch. It's called Spirit of the Marathon, and there's a part in that movie where just an everyday runner like ourselves gets on a treadmill, cranks it up as high as it can go, and it is still not as fast as the runners are going for the whole entire marathon.
Wow.
So the next time you're on the treadmill, try to jack it up all the way you possibly can, run on it for maybe 10 seconds, because I don't want you to shoot out the back.
Because that's a hazard.
But it might be maybe that'd be a fun from the bench exclusive.
Like
Who
put
can
a
run
video.
fast on the treadmill? We'll both crank it up right next to each
we should do a
other.
video segment and put on Facebook, both of us on a treadmill, and see who can run for the longest time at that speed setting.
You know what? That sounds like a challenge, and that's pretty funny. So now if you're listening to the podcast, because we do the podcast, and we've noticed that more people are listening to the podcast than live. Mm-hmm. We're hoping that more people listen live so we can get call-ins, but that's okay. We love people listening to the podcast. We've actually had a lot of people come up to us and tell us they love the show, but that would be a great video, as long as we don't get hurt.
No, obviously.
But you'd be all right because that'd be a part of your work. Me, that's just me jacking around. So, speaking of jacking around, leads us to Movie 101,
Yes.
Sports. You had an assignment this week. You watched Rocky 1.
Yes.
Or so, Rocky.
Yes.
Well?
Wow. Because not only that, it was a really good movie. It had a lot of really great video because before I watched it, my chief came up to me, and he's been a videographer all his career, and he told me that during the fighting scenes was the first time to use Steadicam, and even during the running scene. So that was pretty cool watching one of the first movies use Steadicam.
And that running scene is a huge scene because, he goes up and he ends up on the steps in front of the museum.
Yeah.
So now a lot of people actually go and do that. And because that statue was put in its place. That's actually a real statue now in Philly. Mm-hmm. And the Philadelphia Marathon, a lot of the people that go and run it actually go and do the steps routine. That it's become just culture for everyone. And now, so if you ever see anybody going up steps, you'll understand why, because sometimes when people travel and they see steps, they go and they put their hands up in the air like he does, and now you're going to know what that means.
Well, no, I already knew it was from there, but it was just
you
now
just didn't
seeing
know.
it. Yeah, now it's seeing it changes it.
It's kind of like the horse head in the Godfather movies. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh my gosh, Darby. What are we going to do with you?
Yeah,
You're as bad as my wife. We're heading down in a couple weeks to go possibly see these places.
No, what's that movie? He was in the movie I just watched last week.
Sylvester Stallone?
No.
So we're not on Rocky.
No, we're not on Rocky. We're talking gangster movies. It just reminded me because you're like, have you seen Godfather? No,
Right.
I haven't. But I do love, and I can't think of the name, and I can never think of the name. But it had Field of Dreams, the guy that played the baseball player. Now I can't remember names. I'm so bad at that.
Wow, this is a good game that I am losing. This is as bad as those teams that haven't won a game in the NFL yet.
Yes.
This is how I feel right now. But Rocky, okay, so he meets his girl. His girl is named
Adrian.
Good. See, before the show we always talk about it, and I asked Darby what the name of the girlfriend was, and she said Adrian, and I says that's not the name. It's actually Adrian. That's the way that we have to do it, because anybody that ever watches the Rocky series knows that's how he says it after every single fight. It's never him in the microphone saying, "Hey Adrian, come on up to the ring." No, Adrian, and she still loves him. Besides that, still stays with him. But it's a classic. It won the Academy Award, but I'm glad you liked it, and which leads us to this next week. We actually had some input, some people listening to the show, talking about that we were going to make you watch Rocky back to back, all 6. Instead, we're in the midst of football season, so we felt that instead, what you're going to watch, we're going to stop with the Rockies for now. We'll come back and watch 2, 3, and the rest of them. But right now, this week, you're going to watch a football classic, guaranteed to put a tear in your eye, raise the hair on the back of your neck. Rudy.
Yes, I'm ready to watch Rudy. It's still football season.
And I'm telling you right now, it's a great soundtrack too.
I was reading the back, and I only got to, I think it was like the 3rd season, and it's kind of...
The 3rd season?
I mean the 3rd season, the 3rd sentence.
It's only a movie.
Yeah.
They didn't do seasons of Rudy. That would have got a little bit old. That would have been a little bit boring.
No, I meant the 3rd sentence, and that seems interesting.
It's not only interesting, and for your information, Rudy is based
on a true story. Okay.
Now, there are parts of it that are a little bit stretched. They stretch the truth a little bit on it. But unlike Field of Dreams, which was not true.
I thought Field of Dreams was real just because people kept talking about the field, and it just doesn't make sense to me that people are going to go visit a movie set.
That doesn't make sense to you?
It doesn't. Like, it's like, oh, big deal. Like, it's a movie set. Ooh.
So, well, it's huge for the people in Iowa, and also people. Well, Zane Zimmerman, our guest this morning, talked about when they went on vacation in Iowa, they went to the field in Dyersville, Iowa, to see it. Maybe someday now you can go and check it out. Who knows though? Maybe when you go, that the people will actually come out of the corn.
Hopefully, maybe I'm the person to see it. Maybe it's a true story for me.
If it is, that will make great from the bench shows down the road. So that being said, me just being happy this last weekend, just because I know this is important to you, knowing that I'm the big homer that I am for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa did win. They did take home the pig, Floyd of Rosedale. Very convincing win for the Hawks, and so I'm happy about that. The Iowa Hawkeyes are now 4-1. Your team, USC. You feel good about it because they did fire the coach.
Yes.
And so, again...
And I will put my input on that. You said we'll see if they become relevant. I honestly don't think that they'll be relevant this season. It'll come back next season when they hire a definite coach
who's going to do something good.
Yes, either do something good or do something stable.
Well, and I think that they've got a couple years, away, and that'll probably be the most we talk about USC. Will probably be done for them for a while. But I want to remind people that may not know Darby in the studio, because some people who are listening to our podcast may think she is one of the meanest people on the face of the earth, because she talked about in fantasy football people getting hurt. She talked about Lane Kiffin being absolutely happy, joyful that he got fired.
Not joyful. He saw it coming.
So it's better when you see it coming, it's okay.
Probably for Lane Kiffin it is.
Yeah, probably for Lane Kiffin it is. But I just want to remind people, Darby is a really nice person.
Thank you.
And I think I think we are starting to see that competitive streak with fantasy football. I think we're going to see you become a little bit more cocky now when you have your first victory, in the win column. You did kind of blow out. If Chad Lucy is listening to the radio, we talked about him earlier with the Detroit Lions. He got the Detroit Lions wins. He's happy about that. But he got his butt kicked by Darby Ortega this week in fantasy football.
Wait, isn't my record the same as Lane Kiffin's for USC, 3-1?
That's sad.
You mean 1-3?
1-3.
No, he's actually 3-2, so he's still a little bit better than you.
Oh no. Well, wasn't his dad like a famous coach?
Monty Kiffin. He's still a coach. He's
Okay.
a great coach. Great defense, one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time, and he has coached till I believe he's in his 80s.
Okay then. All right. Well, we'll keep it at that. We'll bring it back hopefully next week. More USC. Maybe they will come up and become relevant.
And so then, and we'll talk about Rudy next week, and we'll just hopefully maybe next week that we'll continue our Adrian talk, and we'll see what you think of Rudy.